श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतो वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं वन्दे तं सच्चिदानन्दं यतिवर्यं महामतिं वेदवेदान्तसारग्नं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहं श्रीगुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहं सद्गुरुं सच्चिदानन्दं साधुर्यं सनातनं सद्वेदान्तप्रवक्तारं सदा स्वान्ते स्मराम्यहं गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो नमो महभ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। With blessing of Bhagavan, we were looking at the second fundamental principle, which is cognizing the witnessing principle, that is recognizing the Saakshi Swarupa, where in this book, that is collected books and articles, Guidelines to Shankara Vedanta topic, it is page number 37 we have to see. We have completed page number 36. In page number 37, so we saw the Purva Pakshi, who is Purva Mimamsa, raises that the Atman is an object of the me notion. So for as per him, his thought is that, but Acharya replies saying that it is not, because it is aham pratyaya gamya vyatirekena tasakshi. So aham pratyaya means the me notion, the what we are saying, that what we are identifying, that this as me. So from this me notion has become an object for this self. That's why it cannot be a object of the me notion. So it is Atman is the witness of that ego, that is the me notion. So he explains that leaving aside the erroneous knowledge of the self as the agent of action as contained in the idea of I. So the idea of I, that means no one will have to teach this idea of I, because everyone know that I am this, and so on. So okay, so that's why page number is 37. That page number 37 you have to see. So uh, we naturally know that we are this. So that's why all the agents, speaking, touching, knowing, thinking, everything will come under the purview of this me notion, the self, the real self. So this is duplicate self, this is misunderstood self, adhyastha. Okay, the real self, which is the witness of the idea of I, which is the witness of the idea of I, which exists in all creatures. So not only humans, it exists in animals also in higher creatures like devatas. Okay, they also will identify themselves as Indra, Yama, Varuna, etc., etc., but they are divya shariras. Okay, but they will be having the me notion also. Okay, which is the witness of the idea of I, which exists in all creatures, which is without any difference of degrees, and which is one unchanging. So this degree will change. So the I notion, whatever we have, this degree, in the sense, I will be having different kind of body, mind, intellect, and my prarabdha is different than others. I am different from animal. Animals are different from worms and all. They are different from birds. And devatas are also different from us. And for devatas also there are different categories. Pitru devata, Gandharva devata, Yakshadevata, Indra, Varuna, that we all know in the Puranas, we can see that. Okay. So, but this, the real I, that is a self, that is a witness of this mean ocean, is in unchanging. It doesn't have different kind of degrees. It is unchangeable, and it is common for everyone, unchanging, and is eternal. All are eternal, irrespective of whatever you are the eternal being. The degree of different kind of changes, that is due to the our prarabdha only. Whatever you might be enjoying your prarabdha, sukha or dukh, but the thing is, you are the real eternal soul and all pervasive consciousness. It is the real consciousness. So this consciousness is borrowed consciousness. Whatever you can say that you can see, but the when you mentioning that can see, you may think that from the eyes you can see, or the mean ocean is the source of the eye. That is not true. The source is different. That source is the pure consciousness. That consciousness which is not having any kind of adjuncts. That upadhi, the nirupadika, that doesn't have any kind of upadhi. That is sakshat. So that is only consciousness. Just like a sun. The sun will just illuminate. It will not look into the material where I'm going to illuminate. It will not worry about that. Whether I'm illuminating the Ganga river or I'm illuminating the sewage water, it will not think. It will just illuminate. And punya of Ganga water will not be tainted to the sunlight. Just like that, sewage water, if you can say that it has papa, that papa will not be tainted to that sunlight. Just like that, we all are one eternal, all pervasive consciousness, such as self, is not known as the self of all by anyone in the section of Vedas dealing with virtuous deeds or in the scriptures of the logicians. That means this concept of real I, that is the self, that is witnessing principle, is not being told in Karma Kanda part of Vedas. Okay, so the Gnana Kanda only that will deal with this concept, because this comes under Brahma Jignasa. That is not the field of Brahma Jignasa. That's why it is not being told. Here it is told only in this Vedanta only. No, it is not been told in any other shastras. Logicians means tarka. Those who are with a tarka shastra, they there it is not been told. Okay, but even if they tell using their own tarka or logics, that will come under different category of Nastika Darshana and Nastika Darshana and Astika Darshana, which we saw in the previous class, and subcategory of those classes, which we can see in this present world. Okay, this is the bedrock of the huge building of Shankara Vedanta. This is the bedrock. Why? Because through the Sarvatrika Purnanubhava, this will be taught. The purpose is to teach is Sakshi Anubhava, which is the real nature of the self. So that's why this is the bedrock of the whole Shankara Vedanta. One has to clearly understand the concept of this Sakshi. There should not be any kind of doubt while understanding this Sakshi Swarupa. All doubts has to be cleared while we study this kind of basic principle. Why? Because if you are not, and if you're not understood under what is the meaning of understanding? It is just not mere understanding the concept. Anubhavanga. Experientially, we have to understand that. We have to validate. So, what is the meaning of in the Sarvatrika Purananubhava? Nothing is there to imagine, right? None of the things. That's why I took Mandukya Upanishad. In the Mandukya Upanishad, whatever it says, it is all in our Anubhava only. But the Sakshi, even though it is in our Anubhava, we doesn't know about that. We are not taught about that in the life. So the Shastra should only come to tell that this is even own Anubhava. Just you have to just recognize this Sakshi Anubhava. So for that only Shastra, Sarve Vedanta Harabhyante. All the Vedantas, Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, all has come to teach this witnessing principle. So once you understand this witnessing principle properly, you will set a goal in your life. So being a humans, we should have the goal. That goal, after you achieve that, there will not be another set of goal. In this world, whatever goal you set in this world, there will be another goal after reaching that goal. That is never ending. Okay, but this goal, after reaching this goal, it is the end, because your life is successful only if you take a standpoint in your real self. That's why Bhagavan will also say that Sabuddhiman Manusheshu Sayukta Krista Karmakrit. He is the only Buddhiman. He is the only intelligent person, because he identified himself as the real I. We are in the duplicate I. So that's why it is very, very important. This is bedrock of the Shankara Vedanta. Please understand. So at first, an aspirant should cognize this witness as one's own self through the teachings of Shastra and the Guru. Okay? First, we have to cognize, we have to identify. After identification, see, after cognizing this, he will be able to take a stand in this true nature, and then he will be fit to understand the secrets of the teachings of Shankara Vedanta. Okay, so then only you're fit to be a right student, fit to be a right jignasu. Otherwise, what will happen if you just go on reading the Shastra, especially the Shankara Vedanta, you will not know. So, what Acharya is exactly telling that. So, that's why, with the help of Shastra and Guru, we have to understand this concept properly. This is the most important principle in the Shankara Vedanta. So, after that, we will put an effort to take a standpoint in that self through any of the prakriya, which will be the third basic principle, adhyaropa apada prakriya. So before analyzing any of the prakriya, and before going through any of the prakriya, we have to first identify that this real sakshanubhava is there within us only. Okay, commonly, page number 38, commonly in the empirical dealings, when one wants to know something, he does so with his instruments such as mind, intellect, and sense organs. That is right, correct? So, in the what is the meaning of empirical dealing? This is Laukika Anubhava. In this Laukika Anubhava, so whenever we want to know anything without using our will, mind, we can't know anything. Just say anything is word. You can't declare saying that I have not used my mind or will, but I understood. Not at all possible. So we will use any of the instrument. like your mind, your eyes, nose, everything. But with support of mind anyway, it should be there. With the aid of these instruments, one gains the knowledge of the external phenomena, right? So, starting from the childhood, for the child in the nursery, babysitting and all, so their teaching methodology will be different as per the intellect of the child. The teaching will be done by the teachers. So from starting from there till now, till now, so this has gone through this process only. We will use some of the instruments. Okay, this position is called the knowership or pramatra. This position, knower, pramatra. Knower is pramata, pramatru, pramatru. So pramatru will use the pramana to know the things. Pramana. What is the pramana? Our mind, intellect, or organs, internal organs are the pramana. We will know the prameya, the things, outer things. That's why you are pramatru. This pramata is described in the above bhashya sentence as aham pratyaya kartru. Aham pratyaya kartru vyatirekena tat sakshi is the statement is the Brahmasutra Bhashya. Okay. Aham pratyaya kartru. This is the me notion. So see, in the Shastra, this me notion is defined in many words based on the context. So here it is defined as the aham pratyaya, ham pratyaya kartru, pramatru. Okay, pramatru, we'll call pramatru. Aham pratyaya will say jiva, will say chidabhasa, we will say many kind of, we will use many kind of words based on the different context. Okay, aham pratyak kartru meaning the knower, doer, enjoyer, etc. When you are a pramatru, you will be a bhoktru also. What is a bhoktru? The one who enjoys. The enjoyer is the bhoktru. You understood? So because when we do the, why will we do the activities? Why will we know the things? To gain something. Why will we gain? To enjoy something, right? That is the enjoyership. Is called bhoktru. So pramatru itself is a bhoktru, and he itself is a gnatru also. Knower, doer, pramatru, etc. And all these are included in one word, that is the mean ocean. In Kannada, ನಾನು ಎಂಬ ಅನಿಸುವಿಕೆ, notion. चित आभास, चित का आभास. आभास मतलब क्या है? ये रियल चित नहीं, आभास है. Me notion or the sense of I. This type of procedure is enough to know the other objects as well as the psychological plane. But in Vedanta, so this me notion is enough to know everything is world, including the psychological plane. But in Vedanta, it is a very difficult and subtle task, as one has to cease his identification with the mind, intellect, sense organs. So to know, so see, one has, so what is the goal of life? To recognize this witnessing principle. Not only after recognizing that, we have to adopt some of the prakriya. From that prakriya, either through Shravana or Manana or Nididhyasana, which we will see later, what is those Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, through those sadhanas, we have to know our own real nature of the self. Okay. What is the meaning of knowing that self? Because the language, it has got some limitations. Okay. So that language has come to understand the external things. Okay. But if you use the same language to teach the concept of Upanishads, where Atma Swarupa is taught, the meaning of it we have to understand differently. That's where this guru comes into picture, to make the student to understand properly in line with Shastra. So what he does, so he will observe that whether the student has understood properly as per the Shastra or not. Okay. So what will happen is, the word is same, to know. Here in the world also will say to know that thing, to know chemistry, to know physics, to know that thing, this thing, everything. Okay. Likewise, here also we mention that to know the self. So to know, so see here, to know, knower should be there, the pramatra should be there, pramana should be there, but prameya should be, three things should be there. Pramatru, pramana, prameya, to know in this world. But how to know the real nature of the Pramatro? To understand the Pramatro, is there any three things like this? Pramatro, Pramana, Prameya? No, right? So how to know the real nature of the Pramatro? The only way is to seize the identification with this. That's why Swamiji was mentioning, that's why Devara Kulkarni Guruji was also mentioning that to know the self is to be the self. Not knowing the self literally. Just like in the outer world, we say, no, I know this, I know that. It is not like that. Knowing means, know the self is to be the self, to be the self. Now we are not in the real self. Because as we saw in the Adhyasa Bhashya, we will take, when we say I, we will take standpoint in different situations. When when we see something, we will say that we'll take an identification with I. When we hear something, we'll take identification with with our ears. When we touch something with the skin, and when someone criticizes us, we'll take standpoint in our intellect, ahankara. And when we say, do you know who I'm like a rowdy, when we say, I'm a gangster, when we say, I'm like a gangster, when we say, so we will take an identification with the me notion. You don't know about me if you say that. You will take identification with me notion. So that's why in different context, we will say, we will identify in different context as different me. Okay. So that's why knowing is to be the self. Knowing is being, not objectifying. Yes, not objectifying, being, to be in our own real nature is the, to know the self is to be the self. How to be the self? How to be the self? The only way is to seize the identification with the not self, anatma. Do to see how to seize the identification with the anatma, that we have to go through one of the prakriya of the shastra, either avastatraya, panchakosha veka, or through dhyana yoga. That and all we have to understand and do the sadhana accordingly. Okay, so that we can see later. But I think this only we have to understand that the only way to be the self is to seize the identification with the not self, because now we have not ceased identification with the not self, because we are in this position. So in this position, so we are, so even though we are rich, rich in the sense what? So all, so Bhagavan is having all the uh, properties of the world. He is Bhagavan only. So because he himself is providing in all of the things, we are that. But but we have taken identification this space, body, mind, and intellect, and we are taking multiple birth and death. So that's why we are very, very, very poor. Poor means what? It is not like concept of money or property. I'm not telling about that. When you say poor, compare, but rishis and sadhus will not be having any such properties, but they are richer than us, because so they know the real thing. We are not knowing the real thing. Okay. Sees identification with mind, intellect, sense organs through discrimination, viveka, through the viveka, according to the teachings of the Shastra. Our own viveka will not help, because our own viveka will be through this me notion only. Through that, that's why the Sutra says Shastra Yonitvat. Shastra itself is the means of knowledge. Shastra and the Guru, obviously, because without the Guru, we will understand Shastra differently. So, here, an introvert mind is necessarily required for knowing the external things and object. Introvert is not required. In fact, that will oppose to know the things. Whereas here, introvert mind is very, very much necessary. So, with that itself, because we are going back to understand the external things, we will not go back. We'll put our mind to the external objects. Of course, concentration should be there also. That concentration is different from this concentration. Okay, this concentration require vairagya. That concentration doesn't require vairagya. Some small amount of vairagya is required, because if you want to pass any of the competitive exams, we have to leave all those enjoyments. That vairagya will be there, but later that will not remain. Automatically those things will come. But here, complete vairagya should be there, and the ekagrata, that concentration should be there. Okay, that we will see later. When an aspirant turns inward up to the witnessing principle of life, okay, which is beyond the mean ocean. Why it is mentioned inward? Because that's why Adhyas Bhasha is most important. You just remember the Adhyas Bhasha. Please, please, please don't ever forget the Adhyas Bhasha. Adhyas Bhasha Acharya has clearly told that Bahya Dharmani Atmani Adhyastaha, first level there, and then we saw that different life of level, life of Adhyasa. So there, what is happening? If you go inside, it will become subtler. External object, body, mind, intellect, the mean ocean, and then the ego, the Saakshi of the mean ocean, up to the witnessing principle of life, which is beyond the mean ocean. At that time, he remains. That is important. Remains. He remains as the witness, and he can objectify his own mean ocean or ego. See, many things are there. Okay, it is difficult to skip some of the things. See, We have to observe carefully. That is the thing. So it is this Vedanta. It is not like normal literatures. Normal literature, once you only one once you read that, you can understand. But here the Vedanta, you have to do. That's why Adhyayana comes into picture. Study, deep study. Adhyayana is most important. So here Guruji is saying that he remains as the witness and he can objectify his own me notion or ego. So means what? So through this jiva, that me notion, all are the objects to this me notion. Okay. So how this me notion itself become an object? When will it become an object? Is the question. See, when we say in the waking state itself, when when we say, when we define the waking state, what is waking state? When you ask someone that, are you in a waking state? Or they will say that I am in a waking state. What are all the things which is there in the waking state? When you say that, when you say that, you are objectifying the waking state itself. Okay. This body, mind, and intellect, this psychophysical complex, jiva, where is it? Where is it? Is it inside the waking state or outside the waking state? Obviously, the answer is it is inside the waking state. This body, mind, and intellect is there inside the waking state. But when you say that I'm objectifying, what is the message? When you say I'm objectifying, you objectifying, you're objectifying the entire waking state. So that means what? You are taking standpoint in the self, but you doesn't know about that. Okay, when when you think about the dream, now the dream state is not there. We are thinking that we are in a waking state, right? So the entire concept of the dream, which is just like this set, this body, mind, intellect, and the object for those body, mind, and intellect, entire thing, you are objectifying that. If you are objectifying, you should be beyond that. So that's why that me notion, so witness, and he can objectify his own me notion or ego, this remaining as the witnessing principle. But even though we can understand through the teachings of Shastra and through experience, we still have not taken the standpoint in the witnessing principle. Okay. So we say that yes, correct. We may say that yes, correct. When you say waking state, so you will be in the witnessing principle and then you are objectifying your waking state. But the thing is, you have not we have not taken standpoint in in this witnessing principle. If you would have taken standpoint in the witnessing principle, so that world will not exist at all, because it is just a misconception, adhyasa. So that's why one should not be in the notion, wrong notion, that just by understanding the Shastra, that is enough. That moksha we have achieved. There are many people like that. They may think that carefully understanding the Shastra, everything is done. No. Seize the, have you seized your identification with the not self? Answer should will be no. Until you seize the identification with not self, that will not happen. Okay. And the remaining as the witnessing principle is called here as cognizing the witnessing principle of life. Here, cognizing means quite unlike the cognizing of the other objects. Here, it is just remaining as the self. Cognizing in this world, different object is different. So here, the cognizing is just to remain in ourself. To stay in one's own nature is called by Shankara as Nishkriyatma Swarupava Sthanam. Nishkriyatma Swarupava. So Gita Bhashya reference, whatever is there, I think it is not correct. Okay, so that I will say which Bhashya it has come from. So here in our own self, there it doesn't have any kind of movements. Nishkriya. So that kriya means what? The movements. So when you say kriya, it is literally we shouldn't take here. The modification of mind is kriya. Okay, the modification. So when we understand something, so there will be continuous modification of the mind, because last time we saw what is a pratyaya, what is vritti, mind. So the pratyaya will arise and it will go. One pratyaya when it comes, you will understand thing when, and the other pratyaya will come. So when you say list of vegetables, brinjal, when you say brinjal concept will come, and immediately when you refer to banana, that banana concept will come, then that will replace by the brinjal concept and banana concept will can't stay together. Just like swapna and jagrat can't be there at one place, one vritti and another vritti will not come at the same time. When the another vritti comes, the before brinja, when banana vritti comes in your mind, that brinjal vritti shouldn't be there. Okay, and that's what. Uh, so what has happened? That kriya is there here. When you understand the thing in this world, that kriya will happen continuously. Whereas in real nature of the self, this kriya is not the nishkriyatma swarupa. That's why Sureshwaracharya has also told Naishkarmya Siddhi. That doesn't, it is not tainted by any of the Papa Punya. Nishkriyatma, Sishkriyatma, Swarupavasthanam. That sthanam, that our goal, that state is Nishkriyatma Swarupavasthanam. Where is the experience of our Nishkriyatma Swarupa? So because see, Bhagavan will say that Nahi Kaschit Kshanamapi Jatu Tishtate Karmakrit. Because no one can stay even for even 1 second without doing any kind of work. Even when you say that you are taking, you are relaxing, but if you are using your mind, then that kriya will be there. The modification of mind is there. That is also called a kriya. When you do the thinking process is also kriya. That's why Bhagavan has told that no one can stay in single second without doing any kriya. But we have got an experience where we don't have any kriya. Where it is? It is in a deep sleep state. In deep sleep state, there is no thought at all. When there is no thought, there is no kriya. But no one denies that I was there in the deep sleep state. No one say that my existence was not there in deep sleep state. Everyone say that I was there in deep sleep. Oh, what a kind of sleep it was. Sound sleep. Only happiness, sukh, bliss only was there in the deep sleep state. Okay, that's why it. But unless and until you recognize that our own nature is that, this will continue. After coming to the waking state, immediately we'll shift our standpoint to here, this Pramatru, Jiva. That's why all the things will happen. But if you carefully observe the teachings of the Shastra and take a standpoint through the negation, na anta pragnam, na bhish pragno, vita pragnam, pragna, na pragna, na pragam, na pragnam, na pragnam. So after that, that's what seizing the identification through the technique of the Shastra with the help of Guru. So we will take an identification with the Nishkriyatma Swarupa. Okay. Swatmanubhava Nishchaya Rupena Avasthanam. Swatmanubhava. Our is own Anubhava. It is not the Anubhava of the others. Our Swatmanubhava Nishchaya Rupena. Steadfastness. After identification of that real I, no question remains. There will not be any kind of doubts. That's why in Mundaka Upanishad it says that uh, no samshaya, no samshaya will remain. So I will say that mantra I'm not getting immediately. That the no kind of questions will remain. Okay, so okay, that is fine. Okay, and in the page number 39, in this connection, one should not misunderstand that the remaining as the self means we shall attain state like nirvikalpa samadhi, etc. Because the probability of thinking might be there, because everywhere this kind of teaching itself is there. So what has happened is, when you don't teach any kind of meditation, with spiritual class means some meditation should be there. Otherwise, we can't consider that as spiritual class. When you start teaching this kind of Vedanta, no one will believe that this is a spiritual class. For them, the spiritual class means you have to sit and do some meditation. That meditation, of course, it will be useful, but the thing is, what is the purpose? If you don't understand the purpose, what is the use of doing the meditation? You don't know the goal. You don't know what to do. Why you are doing the meditation? And also you don't know technique also. They have got their own technique. So as per them, if you go, you will not achieve. You can achieve that Nirvikalpa Samadhi, but not the moksha. Okay, the you shouldn't misunderstand that Nirvikalpa Samadhi, etc., where there are no dealings. That is why Shankara has warned in Sutra Bhashya. Thus, this also follows from the teachings that the embodied soul is Brahman, is essential in the passage that is that thou art Shvetaketu, Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. For that reason only, the Shastra has told in the Chandogya Upanishad that here the Guru is Uddalaka, Shishya is Shvetaketu. For Shvetaketu, he is telling that thou art. That means what? Tattvam asi. So that the real nature, tat means the Brahma Swarupa. Tat Swarupa means Brahma Swarupa. Tvam means your own self. That is your own self. That thou asi. So take an identification. It is here in own self only. Essence of Brahma, it is in our own self, Shvetaketu. This identity of embodied soul that is taught is a self-established truth. That is the self-established Swatmanubhava Nishchaya Rupena. Establish in our own self. That is our goal. We are now, as per the rishis, Sadhu Santa Sandal, we have gone mad, but we have to be intellect person, Buddhiman. I think you know the story of Santa Tukaram because there Santa Tukaram, he was telling that whenever he speaks to anyone, he was telling Panduranga, Panduranga, because for him, apart from Panduranga, no one is there. He was telling wife as Panduranga. People were thinking he has gone mad. Even for dog, he is calling as Panduranga. His sons, he is calling Panduranga. When I spoke to him, I'm his friend, but he is telling me as a Panduranga. He has gone mad. People were thinking that. So they went to one of the guru who know about that. When they went and they told this, that guru told that he is not mad. He is the only person who is understood properly. But we are all mad because we are seeing Panduranga as wife, dog, world, everything. But for him, real Panduranga Tattva, he know that. So that's why for him, world is not there. The whatever he say, we see in this world, that is the appearance of the Panduranga. Appearance can be anything. On whom it is appearing. Rope can appear in different way. One time it can appear as a snake. Another time it can appear as a garland. Another time it may appear as a belt. Many kind appearance can be multiple. There is multiplicity. Any kind of thing can happen. But the real nature will be only one. Okay. So that's why it is not to be accomplished through some extraneous effort. This Nirvikalpa Samadhi or whatever, this require external effort. Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That is not itself is the but you have to know that just with Vritti Nirodha, we can't able to establish in ourselves. No external effort will help to know the self. If at all, if that is the case, we would have invested in that because the external effort others can do on behalf of us. That will not happen. We only have to travel in this path. When you say travel, inside travel, introvert, inside travel is necessary. Okay. स्वयं प्रसिद्धं हि एतत् शरीरस्थ शारीरस्य ब्रह्मात्मत्वम् उपदेशते न यत्न यत्नत्व प्रसिद्ध prasadam. It is not happens by that any of the yatna prayatna, because it is our own nature. From this it follows that like the idea of the rope, removing the idea of the snake, etc., superimposed on it, adhyastha, superimposed on it, the acceptance of the unity of the individual self with Brahman, that itself is a unity. Say, many of the Advaita Panditas say that the Jiva Brahmatma Aikya. What is that Aikya? As per them, there is something called Jiva and something called Brahma. This Jiva become Aikya with Brahma. That is not the concept. Jivatma Brahma Aikya means just to remove the wrong conception, that's all, misconception, as declared in the scriptures, result in the removal of the idea of the individual soul bound up with the body. Individual, the me notion, after the me notion, the all other things will come into picture: body, your organs, sense organs, and the external thing, related to this body, all the external thing, all kind of prapancha, adhyatmika, adibhotika, adidevika prapancha, entire thing, desha, kala, karana, karana, yeah, entire thing will come into the picture. That is the, that is a creator of beginningless ignorance. He itself the creator of the beginningless ignorance. Beginningless. That we saw in the Adhyasa Bhashya. There is no beginning or end to this Adhyasa. We don't know when it happened, when it's going to end. Because that when you say when, that Kala, that itself in the Adhyasa, when the false notion that embodied soul in the real self is removed. How to remove? Just cease the identification with that, that's all. That's why it will ask for many kind of sadhanas that we will see, different categories of sadhanas. At least if you try to practice some of the sadhana, it will help. In the lifespan, at least if you can't able to do complete sadhana, we have to travel some of the step to do the sadhana. So then only Guru and Acharya will help. Otherwise, no one will help. So here, removed means what? That removal means to cease the identification. All those activities become sublated, which are based on the assumptions which are created by ignorance. What is the meaning of sublated? You have to understand this. We will generally not use this term in our empirical dealings. In Sanskrit or in Kannada, it is Badita Vritti. What is the meaning of Badita? See, after you identify the rope, the appearance of the snake may still remain. Okay. So, at first instance, you may see rope as a snake. After switching on the light, when you identify that rope, the snake concept will go. But that doesn't mean that again that shouldn't appear as a snake. That may appear as a snake. But how will you look into that? You will look into the snake. It is just a vritti. It is just a concept. The snake is just a concept, but it is not there. That is badita. When you say for others, you may say it appears, snake is appearing, but is badita nivrutti. I will tell another example. When you explain the dream after coming to the waking state, imagine if you are if you have traveled to some other places like Ayodhya or Kashi in the dream. When you explain in the waking state, you will be explaining Kashi Vishwanatha, Ayodhya Rama, everything. You might be explaining how much queue was there and everything. I was standing in the queue for a long time. You may explain those things. But while you explain at the same time of explaining, you are not thinking that I am really going to Kashi or Ayodhya. With the sublated vritti, baditana vritti, you will be explaining. So that is the meaning of bhajita. That is important thing. Note, make a note of that if at all, if you want to do. All those activities become sublated. For the gnani, when he do the prapancha, when you do the dealings in the empirical world, for him, everything is sublated. Everything is bhaditanuvrutti for him. He may identify, see, Tukaram, even though he will be telling Panduranga to his wife, he know at the same time that he is wife. What is the activity of wife? What is the activity of son? Everything he know. But at the same time, he also know that wife or son or everyone are not apart from Panduranga. To take another example of Prahlada. Prahlada is well aware that everything is Narayana Tattva. But he was discriminating. What is kind of discrimination? Just for the empirical dealing, he was looking father as a father only, mother as a mother only, guru as a guru only, friends as friends only. Even though he was looking at them as different kind of relations, at the same time he also very well aware that those all are appearance on the Narayana Tattva. Narayana Tattva alone is there, but they are appearing in this form. That Narayana Tattva itself is appearing in as my father. He is against me. That Narayana Tattva itself is against me. That Narayana Tattva itself is not only jivas, flowers, all the mountains, everything. Bhu, bhu, Bhutani, Vishnu, Bhurana, Vishnu, Vanana, Vishnu, Giriyoni, Shastra, Vishnu Purana, all Bhuta, Vana, everything is only Narayana Tattva, Vishnu Tattva alone. Okay? That is the meaning of Badita, sublation, which are created. And for the for supplying a rational for which a separate diversified part is imagined in Brahman. It is further shown by the Upanishad with the help of such passages as but when to knower of the Brahman everything has become the self, then what should one see? So this is from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There it says that यत्र हि द्वैतमिव भवति तर् इतर इतरं पश्यति इतर इतरं शृणोति इतर इतरं पश्यति इतर इतरं जिग्रेत् इतर इतर रसयति means what? Yatra hi dvaitam eva bhavati. When one, eva means what? Appear to be there. When, because dvaitva really, real sense it is not there. Dvaitam eva. It is appearing like that. Dvaita is appearing. When when someone see Dvaita, in those places where there is an appearance of Dvaita, example, dream and waking state. Okay? Dream everyone saw. Then we can say that is an appearance, but not the waking state. Okay? Yatra hi Dvaitam eva bhavati, wherever there is a concept of Dvaita, itara itaram pashyati, itara itara shrunoti, itaram jigrati, itara itara sahasti. One can see the thing, one can know the thing, one can heard the thing. But yatra tu tasya sarvam atma eva abhut, tat kenakam pashyati, kenakam shrunyat, kenakam vijaniyat. Who will see what? When everything will become Atma alone. Yatra tu tasya sarvam Atma eva abhut. Who will see what? Who will hear what? Who can think? So already 59 minutes over. Little bit of explanation is required for this mantra that we will see in the next class. Okay, we'll see in the YouTube live itself. Okay. Om Namo Brahmadiभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो नमो महाभ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम तस्य श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु.